take you along the refit of Freebirds in 1860. She partially sank in Japan during COVID and grounded on a beach. This year the owner decided to bring her back to life. During several months she was prepared to sail to Thailand. We put an external plywood patch over the damaged area, built a temporary rudder, put a new engine in and a lot more. We then sailed her over 4,000 nautical miles, mostly against wind, to start her major refit. Welcome back to Freebirds Rebirth with a bit of a different angle this week, allowing me, because there's a big piece missing here, which is also allowing for the workshop to be much cleaner than usual, and most importantly allowing to see what you will be able to see in a second, the back part of the cabin top being back on. And therefore a big part of this mission successfully accomplished. There's still a strong back on it, so you cannot really judge much of the lines yet, but you can see how it will look from the inside. This pillar is already glued onto, not glassed in, but it's glued onto the deck. And you can also see the cut windows already, but to this in a second. How this whole structure here is going to be supported is by 3 points basically. So there's the lamination to the bulkhead itself, so that's an easy point, super strong. And what there used to be was a pole here in the middle that supported from the cabin top to the deck, and we want to avoid having that, just for the aesthetics mostly and practicality to handle that winch. So the new load is going to be spreaded by a big layup of carbon fiber that runs underneath here. It's 10 layers each side of 300 unis. And now that this pillar is glued on, we can extend those runs, like we overlap them, and we're going to extend them inside and also outside, coming from the cabin top part, running over it and going in here. And since this deck is also fully rebuilt here, that whole structure should be just like one big arch and should be super strong, that we don't need to put a pole in the middle, because yeah, it would just be super nice. The alternative would maybe also to be around something underneath in here, which is gonna happen eventually anyway, to make like handrails or something to put up, hang up things. And they could be built structural, so they support the cabin top a bit, but not sure how much stiffness we would get from that. So cabin top, yeah, the structural part is mostly done once this is glassed in, and what's missing then here is the dodger, the hard dodger that will come on. And what's going to happen here most likely is dodger with a good view, everything, that helm station a bit raised, and another solar panel, big solar panel, or several small ones on top of that, to work together with the big arch here in the back, and to avoid having any flexible panels somewhere on the deck itself. There would be some good positions in the front, but then it just heats up the cabin way too much, and here in the back it's not so much area, and they're just not as efficient, and we cannot put them everywhere because they're still a bit more slidey than the anti-slip. And even though you don't go often here for the reef, you sometimes have to if something goes wrong or the hook doesn't go in well. So yeah, this still has to be walkable. All right, let's go to the windows from the outside first. That's nothing new if you have been following along. That was used to be laid out in the black plastic here, and now it is already routed out partially, so that's where the window will sit in. And what's going to happen here, since it this has to be some kind of glass on here, and also on here to the newly exposed foam. So we're gonna wrap from the inside, joining the inside all around onto here. Again, probably 2 or even 3 layers of 450 by X, just because it wraps around, and the 2 layers of 800s. And yeah, that mostly should seal it up, and that the pillars themselves, they are super strong, so it doesn't need much strength additionally in these terms. But yeah, since you have to work on it, one day you're gonna remove the silicone and you scratch it off. You don't want to go into the foam. And here there will be probably just one step inverted in it, and what's new on here is the mast step, how it is encapsulated now. That's also nothing structural. What is structural is this pillar here. It's not glued in yet, but it will look more or less like this and work together with the trench here, that the windows will join there in the middle, on the pillar itself, left and right. And the top part here is gonna be extended a bit further out, so some 40 mils or up to 40 mils in the middle, and yeah, just to provide a bit more shade in here, and we won't lose much from the inside in terms of vision, or hardly anything. And once this is glassed on to that layer, so that again will come from the top layer, we'll have to glass that new foam in all the way here, and then we can start working on that edge to make it a 90-degree edge, just like down here. So we have something nice to our big area to sit the window on. Now it would only sit on one point because it's round. There has been some more work in the front locker here. It's gonna be the new hatch, and yeah, you don't see much, but the panel to the right, the green one, that's going to be put onto the front bulkhead to just separate these 2 compartments in the front and in the back, to have them watertight from each other. So the front is basically another crash box. Oh, right, let's look at how this looks from inside. These are the cutout windows. Could compare them, that was quite nice. Now the router on this side. This is going to be the main entry basically, with the hatch to open, no, this way probably. That's the original dimension, it was that narrow. It is longer now, but it still has the same dimension. Since the pillar is not going to stand right here, but actually a bit offset to the back, it would still be possible to extend it a bit in case we find it not practical how it is to enter here. But it was a bit of a tricky corner because you have this edge that should ideally line up with this, so that the hatch doesn't look super weird. If it's suddenly smaller, it will become a weird thing. And before we go into the cabin top to see the windows from the outside, you can go. To this. Sorry for the angle. Right. Since the light is on, I'm gonna make some profit of that. That's the engine room we are in. And the interesting part, you cannot see much. So that's the carbon fiber layup. That is also super beefy, that's 5 layers. And because there is part of the hardware sits on here, so that has to be extra strong. And here we had to remove, you cannot access that from the top, so this panel we could put in from the top and then remove the bottom. That didn't work here because it didn't have access, so that's put in now. Still has to be faired in, and then there will be also there will be glass running on here. There's nothing structural holding that. Right. Oh, there's no. It doesn't have to be holding any hardware. It really just has to support the deck. That's what I wanted to say, like walking on. While here, what we just looked at from inside, has to be super beefy. All right, let's follow the arrows. Currently the back part still sits on these stands, like not in the front, that's now fixed with glue, but the back is not supported by this pillar because it's literally just foam that is glued onto. There's no lamination. All the strength will come from the lamination itself. All right, are you ready to look to the front and see how those windows look from the inside? Ta-da! Very dominant, obviously, the big window in the front. But I think they came out super nice, these side windows. You're a bit on an angle. Let me put you on one. Yeah, just to see how the lines follow around. And that gives a cool view, even if you go down here. You can look a bit up in the sails. Look to the front. This is a mock-up for the pillar, so it's actually not too bad how this thing will stand there. I think the lounge wasn't done last week. That also came in this week, so probably didn't see that before. That came together super quick because we had this arch in the back and just had to put these two sheets in. We used the Dremel to decor the panels to be able to fill them and the edges with filler. And here we are. That's sitting now. How the windows work. This frame is still going to be a bit, or the pillars it's going to be changed a bit. Like you see how it's not following this line yet, but it will eventually. You see the emboxment here of the mast foot, and that's the pillar 80 by 80 that then will connect onto this point that is supported from underneath, extra strong, and joins into the carbon fiber layup here. All right, so now a lot of small stuff that has to be finished. Obviously all the filling and the fairing, but also the pillars or the cabin top itself has to be adapted a little bit. You see how that copy I made, that was from the original cabin top that went down much straighter till it curved, and the same is on the other side. So that still has to be changed, but it's a quick thing. It's basically gluing on foam and cutting the new angle in, and then glass it all together. Done. Inside here on both sides there's filler on from underneath. I'm gonna show that. That's not gonna be very different. And we had a very interesting talk this week about Dagger boards, about how we're going to build them. They used to sit, cannot see that here because there is none left. So over here you can see it, how nice for the deck space, because it came out here and underneath the hull on the side, not in the middle. So you obviously have a lot of more space on the deck, but it means it's a much weaker construction by the design, because it presses so much more on the hull than if it would be if it is just sitting centered. And so that's what's gonna happen. Don't know the position exactly here, but it will be much more centered, going in the middle of the hull, and obviously also on the inside we lose much more space, but it's just a much better design. And the Dagger board also will be never below the deck, so we have the deck and the hull supporting the weight of the Dagger board, and we can build these 2 points extra strong, and the whole box or the case where the Dagger board will sit in, that can be built just to be waterproof. It doesn't have to have any structural function. And obviously the pulleys we have to build in, we don't know about that full on yet, but all in all it's going to be a cool project. Most of the Dagger board will be built out of the same foam as here, H80, and that will be CNC cut to our likings, and from this we will then cut out a piece where there's the most load on it, and this we will rebuild with H200 foam. and with this foam we're going to laminate it super strong, and once all that layup is done, it will be laminated into the CNC cut H80 foam, and that's then the whole setup. And yeah, the Dagger board cases itself, they will be all the cedar underneath will be removed, and also the deck, obviously, where there is just balsa or whatever in here, has to be removed, join the top and bottom layers of glass together and make that really beefy in both places, and put a bushing in it. It's going to be a nylon bushing or another hard plastic, maybe something that lasts a bit longer. We'll see about that. All right, 40 minutes I've been talking, and I think that's enough. Let me give you a nice view onto that rudder post that is very lonely and hopes to soon hug a nice bulkhead again.